Yes, that is an old school Giants show I've had for years. Um, Last week, Downey Mochiano posted that John Geddert was arrested. Um, John Geddert was facing charges. He was the DA in that area, Michigan, had an indictment and was going to file the charge officially with the judge. And now John Geddert was suspected of being an accomplice to Larry Nassar. Larry Nassar worked for MSU, USAG, and John Geddert owned a gym called Twistars. And Larry Nassar was more than willing to volunteer at Twistars to help out with the gymnast training, their physical well-being, and their medical readiness. Now, obviously, Larry Nassar's help is different than our help. You know what I mean? Yes. And the belief was that John Geddert, and there was a lot of women when Larry Nassar was doing his sentencing hearing 3 years ago. A lot of the women were saying, John Geddert should be here with you. John Geddert should burn in hell. Bullshit. John Geddert was the coach who owned the gym. He would go home and tell Larry Nassar, the girls have finished their routines, lock up when you're done. And Larry Nassar acted like it was a goddamn playground. There was a belief that John Geddert, if a girl gained weight, and most gymnastics coaches punish girls for gaining weight, which is highly unethical, their punishment would be to clean the floor with their toothbrush. Not a toothbrush, but their toothbrush. One girl testified, she was filing a complaint, ready to testify, that Larry Nassar was physically abusing her, and John Geddert walked in the room on at least one occasion. So it was looking very dark. Now, if you remember the Penn State, the coach there, he sold his house to his wife for $1 because he feared a lawsuit, and if the wife is not responsible and she owns the house herself, they can't take it from her. It's called injured spouse. Your spouse did something wrong, turning a blind eye to sexual abuse. And you say, listen, that's my spouse, that's not me. I had nothing to do with it. You can't take my house away because my husband did something wrong. John Geddert sold his gym to his wife. His wife sold it for a profit. Unless they can prove the wife did something deliberately wrong, they can't sue her for the money. Okay? And he had a million lawsuits up the ass about negligence and all the bullshit. And I started running down possibilities. John Geddert made a deal with some DA years ago saying, if you seek treatment, you won't press charges. He got treatment. Now, they're not saying that John Geddert touched girls himself. But if you've got Larry Nassar in your gym with the 9-year-olds, okay, that goes a long way to at least civil negligence, if not criminal negligence. Okay? So if you leave a child with someone, and I mean someone appropriate, not like a stranger. If you leave your child with your priest, if you leave your child with your uncle, okay? If you leave your child with your Girl Scout leader, okay? If you leave a child with an adult that would otherwise have legitimate access to that child, and the child is abused, it's not your fault. But if you know the adult in question is an abusive person, you can be charged with child endangerment, 1 count per kid per incident. Okay? So the thing was, John Geddert was not abusing girls. John Geddert had Larry Nassar on premises and Larry Nassar was doing highly questionable things. And John Geddert should have known. Okay? That was basically it. And I actually speculated that John Geddert was going to beat the charges. Most of his alleged crimes took place beyond the statute of limitations. Sometimes the statute is 7 years, sometimes 10 years. But if it takes place beyond the statute of limitations, you could admit to it. Okay? You could have a video of the crime taking place, and if it's outside of the statute of limitations, they can't do nothing. Okay? And some states have repealed statute of limitations, so there's no statute on rape, but that goes for rapes that were committed after the law passed. Okay? So if you rape someone on Monday, and on Tuesday they pass the law, okay, saying that rape has no statute of limitations, you know what I mean? Well, now, here's the thing I felt he'd get away with. I felt he would be killed in a civil lawsuit, okay? Because the civil lawsuit, the only thing they gotta prove is that more likely than not, okay? If you go to a civil trial with a jury, you only gotta convince 7 out of 12 jurors to side with you. Okay? And the question is, you should have, or it was your fault because, okay? Like, if someone falls at your house, it's your fault. Even if you didn't do it on purpose, it's your fault from a civil standpoint, okay? Girls are being abused at your gym. Therefore, it's your fault in a civil manner. Now, to prove the criminal matter, you gotta have all 12 jurors voting guilty. Okay? So, now here's the thing about Larry Nassar. Larry Nassar would actually turn his back and be taking his fingers into the girl's vagina, and he's covering up, and the girl's mother's are behind him. Larry Nassar would take a stack of towels this high and go behind the stack of towels and puncture the girl with his fingers. Okay, he's a nasty motherfucker. Now, here's the problem with that. It's one thing if I'm staying next to a girl and the doctor says, Vinny, I have to touch this girl for medical reasons. Turn your head, please, okay? But if you are the legal parent of the girl in question, you have a legal right to have an unobstructed view of that child. Okay? So if the doctor says, I need to examine your daughter's vagina, I need to examine your daughter's breast, I need to examine your son's buttocks, you as the parent have the right to stand there and look directly at the doctor. And if the doctor attempts to go behind a curtain or turn their back and shield, that is a red flag. Okay? And I talked about this 3 years ago with a woman who followed me on social media. She's a massage therapist, okay? And she said that she would not touch a child under 18 unless their mother signed off on it. And she will not touch a child under 16 unless the mother witnessed it. And she one time told me that she stood on a 13-year-old girl's back with both feet. But she did so after asking the mother and with the mother looking directly at her. And I said 3 years ago, if a therapist needs your permission to stand on top of your child, why is a doctor allowed to touch your child's vagina without your permission, without your knowledge, or to block your view? Now, not one of the parents who was in the room while Nassar was touching the daughter was charged at all, with negligence of any kind. So, if John Geddert went to trial, he could have demanded a 12-person jury. He could have given his lawyer a stack of money and said, "Get me out of here." The lawyer's job is not to prove you're innocent. The lawyer's job is to raise that reasonable doubt. Okay? It only takes one guy, okay, to be like, "I don't know." If one guy says, "I don't know," you leave de facto. Now, a loophole to the Sixth Amendment says if you have a jury and the jury can't make up their mind, you can be retried. It's only when the jury says not guilty, you're free to go. Sometimes you walk out the door and never come back. Sometimes the DA finds more evidence. Depends. And trust me when I tell you, sexual abuse of children, the DA will try as hard as they can to find the charge. So John Geddert's attorney could argue that when he walked in the room and saw the girl, Larry Nassar had his back turned and Larry Nassar was penetrating the girl with his fingers, well, he was obstructing John Geddert's view. Is that true? Probably not. Could he argue it? Yes, he could. Another aspect of it is the law is the same for everybody. Okay? A cop can't give you a ticket for going 80 miles an hour and let everyone else go 80 miles an hour. Okay? The cop has to either give all of you a ticket or none of you a ticket. So with that thinking in mind, John Geddert's lawyer could argue, if you're going to charge my client with failure to report because he walked in the room while Larry Nassar was penetrating a girl, if you're going to charge my client, you have to charge every single parent. And there were kids that said, my mom was in the room when I was molested, and you blocked her vision. There were mothers that said, I can't believe I let you go behind the girl with my daughter. I can't believe I left the room voluntarily. Okay? There was one father, Larry Nassar said, I have to manipulate your daughter's vagina. Can you leave, please? And that dumb motherfucker left. So, it would have been very easy for John Geddert to say, hey, wait a minute. You can't single me out. You got to charge them too. Also, some of the Larry Nassar victims, and it's Larry Nassar, John Geddert, okay? The concept is John Geddert was the owner of the gym, but John Geddert was also involved in the sport extensively. He would go on field trips. He would go to tournaments, okay? He was one of the adults that was with the Team USA a few times. Very, very big shot in the sport, okay? So there's a mix and match between John Geddert victims and Larry Nassar victims. A lot of them overlap. How many Larry Nassar victims support the BLM and the race riots and the bail funds? A lot. How many Larry Nassar victims support Christine Blasey Ford? A lot. Vinny, why is that relevant? Here's the problem. When a defense attorney gets you on the stand, they will argue every single aspect they can to get their way, period. Example, O.J. Simpson. Most people believe O.J. Simpson cut off his ex-wife's head and her boyfriend's head when he arrived at the scene. Now, Mark Fuhrman was asked on the stand, in the past 10 years, have you said the magic word? And Mark Fuhrman said, no, I have not said the magic word in the past 10 years. And they found a cassette player. Yeah, we're getting old, aren't we? They found a cassette player. And the cassettes were 9.5 years old, and he sounds like Jay-Z. Every other word, not even joking. So what they did was, for a solid month or more, every 5 minutes was play the tape. The cop is racist. The LAPD hates black people. Okay? They changed the conversation and they diverted the trial. So, you could have, and I'll give you an example, Simone Biles. Simone Biles recently tweeted condemning the Capitol riots on January 6th. Now, Simone Biles is a Democrat and does not like Donald Trump. Vinny, you're going too far away. No, I'm not. Hear me out. Simone Biles supported BLM. Simone Biles raised money for the race riots. But she condemns the Capitol riots. So when a bunch of guys break into the Capitol and act like frat boys, you condemn that. When thousands more guys burn down entire black neighborhoods, you raise money for them. So, when you're the victim, it's wrong. When someone else is the victim, it's not wrong. When you like the person committing the crime, it's not wrong. When you don't like the person committing the crime, it is wrong. See the hypocrisy there? Also, Christine Blasey Ford. How many Nassar victims, including Den Hollander herself, publicly supported Christine Blasey Ford after Blasey Ford was caught committing perjury? Quite a lot. So, if you support Christine Blasey Ford, that means you believe that it is okay for someone to commit perjury to get their way. If you support Christine Blasey Ford, it means you have no problem with women abusing men. If you support Christine Blasey Ford, you have no problem with women falsely accusing men. If you support Christine Blasey Ford, you don't care about little girls or women, as long as it suits your needs, because a lot of Nassar victims were bitching and moaning about how precious little girls are when they were being abused. Okay, fast forward to 2018. Okay, Justice Kavanaugh's mother, the original Justice Kavanaugh, Mrs. Kavanaugh, and the two little girls, the younger was 10 years old. They were abused. They were psychologically abused by witnessing that ordeal. That ordeal in the public forum, 24 hours a day, around the entire planet. Okay? Death threats they received, some of them. Okay? Also, Susan Collins. I don't like Susan Collins. But Susan Collins had fake anthrax sent to her office. Not one Nassar victim condemned that. Susan Collins' aide received a phone call saying, if your boss confirms him, we're going to rape you and impregnate you. That way, you know what it feels like to be pregnant with a rapist baby. She quit. Not one Nassar victim condemned that. So the Nassar victims had no problem bashing Justice Kavanaugh even after he was exonerated and calling Christine Blasey Ford a hero, but they stood idly by and watched the abuse of the Kavanaugh women and the female lawmakers that supported Kavanaugh, even to a minor degree. Okay? So you can't have it both ways. Okay? You can't complain about sexual abuse when you're being abused and then turn around and say, yeah, I'm glad that motherfucker got abused. Okay? It doesn't work like that. Okay? And that's what they do to raise the reasonable doubt, and that's what they do to character assassinate you. Okay? You didn't think it was wrong now, you think it's wrong now. When you're being abused, it's wrong. When someone else being abused, not wrong. Okay? And former Senator Kamala Harris was heavily involved in that. And there are Nassar victims who worship at her feet, including Simone Biles. So, this man is abusing you, Larry Nassar, and you want us to punish the coach that owned the gym he abused you in. Yes. Okay. You support Kamala Harris. You idolize Kamala Harris, even though Kamala Harris abused a man. Okay? It raises the doubt, it raises the bar. Okay? And it could be any fucking thing, okay? You could have a girl who could have a fist fight with her boyfriend. They'll talk about that. You could have a girl who's a drug addict or an alcoholic. They'll talk about that. You could have a girl that had a mental breakdown. Okay? You could talk about that. Okay? It's called good victim and bad victim. I'll give you an example. A man rapes a young woman who was studying to be a nun. That's what you call a good victim. Because this pure innocent girl who dedicates her life to Christ is raped. Therefore, the jury feels sorry for her and sympathize with her. Okay? Now, if you have a woman who is hyper sexually active, okay, like 10, 12 sex partners, or nasty sex, or she's got a tape, someone, her ex-boyfriend leaked the tape out or some shit, or there's a picture of her online sucking a dick, okay? If she is raped, which is wrong, by the way, all they gotta do is say, hey, wait a minute, okay? Is this sex partner number 1,000? But you had an argument, so now you're accusing him of rape. Okay? You're saying hurt your innocence. Okay? Here's a picture of you sucking a dick. Okay? Any minute thing can be used to tear you the fuck apart. Okay? That's why there's always a risk involved when the defendant says, fuck this, I want a jury, I want trial. There's always a risk. Okay? And either A, the victims get scared, the DA gets scared, because let me tell you something right now, okay? If you got a DA and the victims are sexually active women, hypersexually active women, women who have drug addictions, women who have mental problems, women with criminal records, okay? Okay? Women who have a perjury conviction, women who have memory gaps, okay? Women who can't prove shit, okay? The DA sometimes goes to the defense attorney and the judge and says, listen, let's cut a deal. Because the prosecutor knows. The prosecutor talks to all the victims in advance, man. And they know, wait a minute, we got a problem here. The rape victim has had 19 boyfriends. Okay? And most of them are themselves guys like the defendant. Okay, heavily tattooed, bikers, hard drinkers, fighters, okay? Okay, her legitimate boyfriends are themselves trash. So who's to say this is not boyfriend number 20 that she just didn't like anymore? Okay? He's gonna cut a deal. Okay? Or the defense attorney is gonna get private investigators to talk to your friends, okay, to look at your social media, okay, to follow you around for a couple of days, see what you get into, and then they're gonna come back with the dirt on you. Drugs, alcohol, shoplifting, okay, financial ruin, okay, credit card debt, you owe back taxes, okay, okay, drive like a maniac, okay, you left your husband for another man, okay, any shit like that will come back to haunt you. And all they gotta do is get that one juror, okay. The defense attorneys know how to build a jury, okay. They know who's sympathetic to who, okay. So you got a woman with a highly questionable past, and a lot of Nassar victims have questionable pasts, okay. A lot of them do, and questionable personal lives. A lot of them do, okay. Yes, abuse is wrong, but they're not saints at all, okay. Some of them are part of that fuck the police shit. Some of them are part of that, hate cops and defund the police and, okay. It's true. Hate white people or the BLM shit or all that crazy shit. Christine Blasey Ford. Okay. And, excuse me. And that's pretty much how it is. So you got a couple men on the jury. Maybe in the interviews, the defense attorney gets a male juror who once had a false sexual harassment complaint filed against him. Okay. Maybe he gets a male juror who has an ex-wife who's keeping his kids from him. Okay. Maybe he gets a male juror whose girlfriend, okay, took his credit card number down while he was in the shower. Okay. And then you get the girl on the stand, and the girl says, "Yeah, I support BLM," or "Yeah, I raise money for the bail funds," or "I hate cops," or "I support Christine Blasey Ford," or I think Joe Biden's a hero. Okay, yeah, Joe Biden. Okay, okay, and okay. So yeah, and guess what? I get home from work that day. Thursday it was. I go on Mo Channel's page to find any updates because Mo Channel was going to post the links. John Geddert knew too much about Hillary. Yep, case closed. But they were also talking about, Steve Penny. Who's Steve Penny? Steve Penny is an executive. Steve Penny wore a suit and sat in an office 500 miles away. They're not going to get him on shit. They may sue the shit out of him, okay, because he's the big boss, and the big boss sits behind the big desk, and it's his job to make sure it's on the up and up. But you're not going to convict the guy, 500 miles away. Suing, yes, definitely. Okay, he'll make a settlement. But convicting him of a crime, not going to happen. Okay, he was a million miles away. Okay, prove he knew what was going on. Okay, show the document that said Steve Penny got a phone call or an email saying girls are being abused and he didn't call the police. That's what it'll take. Is Steve Penny a nice guy? No, he's not. The fucking gymnastics. My cousin, his daughter was sort of into gymnastics a little bit. She's like a little kid. She's like, oh, she's 6 now. Haven't even met her yet. I told her mother, I said, if she gets serious, steer her away. Steer her towards some other sport other than gymnastics, okay? Because I'm not having this shit, okay? And my cousin haven't either. So that's what happens when you're compromised. Who was the most compromised? Den Hollander. Rachel Den Hollander is the most compromised Nassar victim of all. Rachel Den Hollander came out in support of Blasey Ford immediately. Okay? Rachel Den Hollander accepted an award from Blasey Ford after she was caught committing perjury. Rachel Den Hollander bashed President Trump, even though 4 of the 7 women that President Trump that accused President Trump were caught lying. Rachel Den Hollander gave an interview in which she called college male students rapists and said that she was devastated that men had constantly put into rights. Okay? So, this shit will come up. Okay? It's only a matter of time. Okay? Unless they can get some kind of plea deal going. Okay? Or unless they get major super duper cash settlements. Okay? I do not want to see one of those girls put on the stand, because the defense attorney is not going to call the clean-cut girl. Okay? The girls that condemn BLM, the girls that condemn the bail funds, the girls that said Christine Blasey Ford is wrong because abuse is always wrong, period. Defense ain't going to call them. Defense is going to call the questionable ones that are going to fold in their examination. Okay? Now, I'm going to end by saying this. Abuse is always wrong, period. Period. Okay? I'm simply telling you that if you have a questionable victim, it is hard to prove. Because when you walk into court, and even though 93% of guys plead guilty, 7% of guys plead not guilty, and they either get a bench trial or they ask for a jury. Juries are typically 1% of all arrests, at most 1%. Okay, you always see only see juries either A, in big cases like rape or murder or kidnapping, okay, and or in cases where in cases where the guy doesn't lose. Okay, if you got a guy on trial for quadruple homicide, what you got to lose? Okay, that's when you see the jury. But when you see the jury, a lot of the time the defense attorney will do anything they can do to manipulate just one. All it takes is that one. That's all it takes. It's not that easy. Sometimes you get a victim that's like a nun or something, or a girl that really has her shit together and sticks by her principles. But a lot of times you get victims that are questionable. And even though rape is always wrong, sexual abuse is always wrong, that can be exploited to nth degree. Okay? That's the truth. Look at Casey Anthony, and look at the woman, the woman. Look at the guy Hillary Clinton defended. Hillary Clinton defended a guy who raped a girl so bad she can't have children. And he beat her within an inch of her life. Hillary Clinton portrayed the girl as a whore. She was 14. She portrayed the girl as an absolute whore. And she got the reasonable doubt hyped up so much, the guy got 30 days for a lesser charge in jail. That's all. 30 days for rape and attempted murder. That's all. All right, thank you.